Hello dear students, today we are going to start a new model, the human brain. Open your books at page 35. Let's start with new words, listen to them, repeat and write down them in your vocabularies.
Amygdala, brainstem, cerebellum, cerebrum,
Hippocampus.
hypothalamus, pituitary gland.
Now, exercise 1. You are to read the text. Use the words in bold to label the pictures. Let's check. Listen and repeat.
Cerebrum, brainstem, cerebellum, hypothalamus, pituitary gland, amygdala, hippocampus.
Now let's watch the video.
The human brain. The human brain is the central organ of the human nervous system, and it controls most of the activities of the human body. A human brain weighs about 1.4 kilograms and is divided into two hemispheres. The brain consists of three main parts: the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. The cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. It processes information from what we touch, see, and hear. It's also the center for speech, learning, and emotion. The cerebellum is the part at the back of your brain. It controls movement and balance. The brainstem connects the brain and the spinal cord, which together make up the central nervous system. Underneath the cerebral cortex are several important structures, including the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, the amygdala, and the hippocampus. The hypothalamus is very small, but it regulates body temperature, blood pressure, and hormones, and controls hunger and thirst. The pituitary gland is connected to the hypothalamus. It secretes hormones and links the nervous and endocrine systems. There is one amygdala in each hemisphere of the brain. They are primarily responsible for emotions. The hippocampus is concerned with memory. What other structures of the brain can you name? Can you describe their main functions?
In exercise 2, you are to ask and answer questions about the parts of the human brain and their functions. Listen to the model.
What is the cerebrum?
It's the biggest part of the brain. It's where we process information from our senses like touch, sight, and hearing. We also use it for speech, learning, and emotion. Do you remember what the cerebellum does?
Yes, it controls movement and balance. It's the area at the back of the brain. Then there's the brainstem, which connects the brain to the spinal cord.
That's right. Beneath the cerebrum is the limbic system. Where is the pituitary gland?
It's below the hypothalamus. It secretes lots of different hormones into the blood. What does the hypothalamus do?
It helps control our body temperature, blood pressure, and appetite. It's just above the pituitary gland. Do you remember what the hippocampus does?
Of course, it consolidates memories. It's the long, curved part of the brain. It's right next to the amygdala, which is almond-shaped and responsible for our emotions.
And over to you. Use a medical model of the human brain to talk about other parts of it. Listen to the model of the presentation.
Isn't the brain an amazing organ? It controls our bodies, our thoughts, and even our dreams. But the brain isn't a simple organ. In fact, it is so complex that there is still a lot for scientists to learn about it. If we look at this model of the brain, we can see different colored parts that represent different sections. For example, this yellow section at the front is called the frontal lobe. It controls our social behavior and higher intelligence. This blue part is a sensory region. It helps us to feel things on our skin and in our muscles. This purple area here is an auditory area responsible for interpreting sounds. But the area that I find most fascinating is the Wernicke's area. It's this grey section here, and it is responsible for language. This is the part of the brain that helps us to interpret language and communicate using it. So the reason that you can understand what I'm saying now is all due to the Wernicke's area. Isn't that fascinating?
Did you know? The brain feels no pain.
And now let's open your books at page 36 and we are going to talk about brain technology. Exercise 1. Let's start with vocabulary. Look at the picture and match the different areas in the human brain to their descriptions. Let's check. Number 1. Motor areas. C. Areas of the brain responsible for movement. Number 2. Sensory areas. A. Areas of the brain responsible for receiving information from our 5 senses. And the last, association areas. They are B. Areas of the brain that coordinate responses from different areas of the brain to help them work together. Now let's get acquainted with new vocabulary words, listen to them and write them down.
Brain disorder, brain technology, computer interface,
enhance, fire, generate,
harness,
implant,
infrared switch, nerve impulse, neural dust, prosthetic limb, speech recognition, stem cell.
Stimulate.
In exercise 2, you are to read the title, the introduction and subheadings. What do you think each text is about? How do you think these brain technologies can be used to help the motor, sensory and association areas in the human brain? Listen to the model.
The first 2 texts are about advances to help our brains and bodies work better together. They can help the motor and sensory areas. Mini-Me brains are for study and help us understand more about all areas of the brain, including sensory and association areas. The last technology can improve communication and efficiency and is related to sensory areas of the brain.
Now let's read the text and watch the video.
Brain gain, the future of brain technology. What type of brain technology could become a part of our lives in the near future? BCI technology. Although brain-computer interface technology already exists, it is set to become even more widely used in the future. One area where BCI technology is particularly useful is in that of people with paralysis or other similar conditions. For example, the famous scientist Stephen Hawking used a computer interface in order to generate speech. In the future, we can expect even more sophisticated systems such as brain-controlled prosthetic limbs and thought-powered smartphones. Neural dust. Scientists have been developing neural dust that would allow our brains to communicate digitally with the world around us. So far, they have managed to get one of these tiny devices to detect which neurons are firing, and are now working on making the device stimulate neurons in response to radio signals. The creators of this technology hope that in the future, this amazing implant will be capable of firing nerve impulses in motor areas of the brain and will allow paralyzed people to walk again. Mini brains. Scientists have managed to grow a tiny 3D brain using stem cells. This amazing breakthrough allows scientists to learn so much more about brain disorders and how the brain works without harming any people. Scientists have been experimenting with giving these brains a blood supply, which gives them the potential to grow much bigger. These larger brains even have the potential to receive an input, allowing scientists to further investigate the sensory and association areas of the brain. Thought-powered typing. Speech recognition technology is not really appropriate for use in office settings or in public. The Silent Speech Project is currently working to harness the signals from your brain and turn them into words. allowing you to type using your thoughts. This technology could allow us to type up to 100 words a minute, much faster than any current BCI speech generation technology.
In exercise 3, you are to read the text and for the question, choose from the brain technologies. Number 1 is a very small device. It's B, sand in the brain. Let's check. So far, they have managed to get one of these tiny devices to detect which neurons are firing and are now working. Number 2 will be able to work at a high speed. It's D, typing with your thoughts. In the text, it is said that experts working on the project predict that this amazing technology could now allow us to type up to 100 words a minute, which is much faster than any current BCI speech generation technology. Number 3 allows research without experimenting on humans. It's C, mini-me brains. We see this is an amazing breakthrough because it allows us to learn so much more about brain disorders and how the brain works without harming any people. Number 4 has already been in use for a number of years. It's A, BCI technology. Although brain-computer interface technology already exists, it is said to become even more widely used in the future. Number 5 will solve a problem users experience with the current type of technology. It's D, typing with your thoughts. In the text, it is said, today's speech recognition technology is constantly improving in respect to its speed or functionality. However, it is not really appropriate for use in office setting or in public. The 6 can aid scientists researching brain function. C, mini-me brains. Let's check. These larger brains even have the potential to receive an input, allowing scientists to further investigate the sensory and association areas of the brain. The 7th could help people who cannot use their limbs. It's B, sand in the brain. Let's check. The creators of this technology hope that in the future this amazing implant will be capable of firing nerve impulses in motor areas of the brain and will allow paralyzed people to walk again. And the last is known for helping someone speak. It's A, BCI technology. In the future, with respect to BCI technology, we can expect even more sophisticated systems such as brain-controlled prosthetic limbs and thought-powered smartphones. Now, in exercise 4, you are to answer the questions. How has BCI been used before?
BCI has been used before in order to help generate speech.
Why are scientists growing mini brains?
Scientists are growing mini brains in order to help them understand and learn more about the human brain and brain disorders.
Which brain technology do you think is the most useful and why?
I think mini brains are the most useful technology because they may be able to help us prevent or find cures for brain disorders that severely affect people's lives. Most of my classmates agree, but others think neural dust is the most useful because of its potential.
In exercise 5, you are to match the words in bold in the text to their meanings. A sensor, infrared switch, make better, enhance, produce, generate. Conditions that affect brain functions, brain disorders. A means to exchange digital information, computer interface. A message sent along a nerve cell, nerve impulses. A cell capable of becoming many different cell types, stem cells. A device or software related to the brain, brain technology. Use, harness. Active, firing, encourage increased activity, stimulate. Now let's remember our grammar. Prepositional phrases, clauses of concession, multi-word verbs. Clauses of concession are used to express contrast. They are introduced with the following words and phrases, but yet.
A lot of robots have been developed for industrial use, but domestic robots aren't available at the moment.
Even though, although, though, plus clause.
Even though James is very good at physics, he doesn't do so well in other subjects.
In spite of, despite, plus noun with ing form.
In spite of researching extensively, scientists haven't unlocked all the mysteries of the human brain. Despite researching extensively, scientists haven't unlocked all the mysteries of the human brain.
In spite of, despite the fact that, plus clause.
Despite the fact that she is very young, Laura is a maths genius. In spite of the fact that she is very young, Laura is a maths genius.
However, nevertheless, plus clause.
Scientists haven't developed chips to enhance our brain power. However, they hope to do so in the near future. Scientists haven't developed chips to enhance our brain power. Nevertheless, they hope to do so in the near future.
While, whereas, plus clause.
Jane researches the structure of DNA, while her colleague examines the effect of the environment on DNA. Jane researches the structure of DNA, whereas her colleague examines the effect of the environment on DNA.
No matter how, plus adjective or adverb, plus subject, plus may, plus verb.
No matter how careful you may be during an experiment, mistakes can happen. No matter how carefully you may conduct an experiment, mistakes can happen.
Multi-verb include prepositional verbs, phrasal verbs, phrasal prepositional verbs.
The scientists are looking at the results of the experiment they had carried out. They were looking to come up with a new blood test.
In exercise 6, you are to choose the correct item. Let's check. The device looks great, although it hasn't been tested on humans yet. In spite of the fact that he studied hard, he couldn't understand the process. This new technology is the best on the market with respect to its speed. We know a lot about the brain, yet there is still much to learn about this complex organ. Dr. Johnstone has come up with an effective new treatment for patients who suffer from frequent headaches. Our research differed from there only in respect of the methods used. He went in for a memory competition and won first prize by using the method of Loci. Despite passing the safety tests, the device wasn't approved. Dr. Watson will see you today. He is standing in for Dr. Jones while she's on leave. No matter how much research we do, we might never fully understand the human brain. In exercise 7, you are to answer what information in the text did you find most interesting. Listen to the opinion.
The information in the text that I found most interesting was the part about the mini brains, because I think it is fascinating that we can grow a tiny version of our brain in the lab.
And your task is to find information about other brain technologies. You are to prepare a presentation. Let's look at the model and listen to it.
Our brain is already an amazing organ capable of doing so many things. But think about how much the human brain could achieve with a little help from technology. One brain technology that is being developed is the use of brain prosthetics. This amazing technology could help people who have lost limbs go back to leading a normal life. Brain prosthetics allow people to control a piece of machinery with their brain. Another fascinating brain technology is automated diagnosis. This technology promises to change the future of healthcare. Diagnosis systems such as NeuroPace RNS will be able to detect seizures and prevent them before they've even happened by providing an electrical stimulation to the appropriate part of the brain. This prevents epilepsy sufferers from having seizures and injuring themselves as a result. In addition, the device records brain activity and is able to send information to doctors to review, helping them monitor the patient's condition without an emergency situation arising. I hope that in the future, brain technologies such as these can advance further to help people with even more medical conditions to save their lives as well as to give them an improved quality of life.